Live from the Vermont Center for Community Journalism, this is News 7 at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Jake Fortin, and I'll have your top headlines from around the Northeast Kingdom in just a minute. But first, meteorologist Anthony Carpino has a first look at the forecast. Anthony, we saw some breaks in the sky today. Is that going to continue through the weekend?
Hey there, Jake. Yeah, so we got a lot of sunshine out there today. We've got temperatures actually climbed up into the 40s. That will be sticking around as we go through the weekend. Unfortunately, those warm temperatures will not, and we'll be seeing temperatures like this, about 29 degrees out there in Lyndonville. And around the rest of the kingdom, we're seeing temperatures in the 20s, as well as the 30s out there, 30 degrees out there in Morrisville, and about 34 degrees out there in Whitefield as well. So we're going to be seeing all these temperatures plummet as we wake up tomorrow morning, only talking about single digits as you wake up by 6 a.m. And once you factor the wind to all of this, it's going to feel a lot colder out there. And right now, the wind chill isn't too bad out there. We've got a couple locations out there below 20 degrees, 17 feeling like in Lyndonville right now. But as we go through the rest of tonight, waking up tomorrow, combined with those cold temperatures and strong winds, we could be seeing wind chill values 10 to 20 degrees below zero. So make sure you're definitely bundling up out there as you're starting your Saturday morning. Temperatures throughout the rest of tonight, going into tomorrow, we're going to see about 15 degrees before midnight, and under partly cloudy skies with those windy conditions tomorrow. We won't make it out of the teens, about 12 degrees under those partly cloudy skies. Jake, we'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Anthony. Yesterday evening, we ran a story regarding the town of Lyndon and their municipal budget, and we would like to clarify some mistakes that were made on our part regarding the story. We incorrectly identified the budget as Lyndonville's, when in fact it is the town of Lyndon's. The changes in projects addressed last night are on the proposed budget. They were items that were requested to be on the budget but were excluded. These items making changes to the public safety building, adding a 4th police officer, fixing the roof and sprinkler system, extending the municipal building's parking lot, and upgrading Powers Park and the Fenton-Chester Arena. If approved, the proposed budget will still increase the tax rate by 8 cents, but does not include specific appropriations that could be approved from the floor and could approximately add an additional 2 cents. And Kermit Fisher has served the Lyndon Select Board for his 12th year, and this marks his last year. He has been a very active member in the community, managing the Fenton-Chester Arena at Lyndon Institute for over 15 years, and then working for a local cemetery. And he now is ready to fully enjoy retirement and finally catch up.
It's just been something that's always interested me, is, you know, how it works and a payback to the town for what it's provided for us, and, you know, the education and the roads and the hard work that everybody does, and, you know, and I just had always had that interest. My grandfather had been on the select board. My mother was considered the town historian for years and years and wrote a number of books on the area, so it was always kind of around me.
Fisher believes he has ran long enough and has enjoyed his time serving the town. A recent progress report from the state is showing that noticeable improvements on the opioid crisis within the region. The Opioid Coordination Council shows that in Thursday's report that the wait time for the treatment facilities have been reduced, as well as the use of naloxone, which is served as an overdose reversal drug. The state of Vermont is planning to use money obtained from tobacco companies' settlements in the past year to invest up to $2.3 million in prevention treatment and recovery incentives. Town officials in Concord and Burke are hoping a bike trail mapping project will spur economic development. The two towns were jointly awarded a $25,700 grant from the State Department of Housing and Community Development. The grant is being used to map out an intertown bike trail network connecting Burke, Victory, Concord, and Kirby. Visitors to the Kingdom Trails in Burke bring an estimated $10 million each year. This is hoped to be an online map for the new trail network, and will bring visitors and their spending monies out to the outlying towns too.
What's really great about the website that will be developed is it will actually focus and feature businesses along the route and places of interest and things that folks can do. And that's really what we want to make sure is when we're attracting people here, that we're bringing economic opportunities for the businesses and the people who live in the Northeast Kingdom.
The towns are currently taking bids from groups interested in working on the project. Once one is selected, the website should be up and running within a year. In the International Institute of Municipal Clerks, Inc. has awarded Burke, Vermont's town clerk the highest title as a Master Municipal Town Clerk. Priscilla Aldrich has been working for the town of Vermont, or for the town of Burke, for just over 25 years, putting in long hours, compiling town budgets for town meeting day, and managing day-to-day tasks in the office. She's pretty proud of what she's done. And it all started back in 1994 when Aldrich went to pay her taxes, and she asked the retiring town clerk if he had found a replacement. He answered no and asked her if she was interested, which she then rejected.
And next thing I knew, I was getting a call from the select board member asking me if I would consider. And that took a lot of thought, but then I did, and here I am 25 years later.
Education and learning how to overcome challenges have been a driving force in her success as a town clerk for Burke. In Burlington, 2 men have been arrested on federal charges for bringing cocaine into Vermont in exchange for firearms, intended for what both men claim to be a war in Boston. The 2 men in question have been identified as John Gurrio and Darwin Medina, who are indicted Thursday in the U.S. District Court located in Burlington. Their case has been open to the floor to many other cases of gun smuggling throughout the past year, and police are working on a possible connection that would link the 2 men to over 30 gun purchases in the state in September alone. The lawyers of both Gurrio and Medina have refused to comment at this point. A Concord man charged with heroin possession is accusing the government of withholding evidence against him. 51-year-old Sean Wickham has requested a 60-day extension on filing pretrial motions to review the additional evidence. Wickham remains a person of interest in last year's unsolved homicide of Waterford resident Michael Pimento. Federal prosecutors are not opposing Wickham's request. And with 1 week until another government shutdown, lawmakers tasked with coming up with a deal to keep things running have expressed optimism, but they haven't announced a firm plan and the clock is ticking. CNN's Karen Kafefa looks at other ways the shutdown timeline for Congress, and $800,000 for federal workers will be eyeing closely over the next week.
Some optimism on Capitol Hill about avoiding another shutdown, but work still to be done.
I'm hopeful we'll come to a conclusion. We need to this weekend so we can vote next week.
Beyond if and when negotiators can reach a deal and how quickly Congress can pass it is the biggest question of all.
I'm absolutely confident that the members of the conference committee are going to come up with a good deal. The question is whether the president will go along with that.
Lead Senate Republican negotiator Richard Shelby visited President Trump on Thursday.
If we can work within some of the parameters that we've talked about today, that we'll keep to ourselves right now, I think he would sign it.
Republicans have been willing to talk about numbers lower than the president's $5.7 billion request for border wall funding. Democrats have signaled flexibility on money for barriers. Other areas of negotiation include border personnel and detention beds. Republicans want more, Democrats less. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she's been taking a hands-off approach.
Just let them do their work, and hopefully that we'll get some good news in a short period of time, and certainly in time for the deadline.
While the border wall battle and Homeland Security spending have taken center stage, the stopgap measure that expires on February 15th is currently funding 9 of 15 federal departments with 800,000 employees. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
And coming up after the break, we have an update on the sewer overflow in St. Johnsbury. The details after the break.
And we're dealing with temperatures that were in the 40s this morning, but going down to the single digits. We'll have more on that coming up after the break.